Welcome back to the show, everybody. Holy hell, we have had Activision absolutely screw the pooch, and I'm kind of happy I'm a little bit late to this one because we've been able to hoover up all of the follow-up reporting to kind of understand just how the hell something that should have been a epic situation for the game ended up being a complete, honestly, failure. Because yes, while Chris Metzen may have appeared and brought the thunder at BlizzCon, explaining why I was off for a few days and have, lost my voice, I'm only back now, who did not bring the thunder is whoever the hell decided to make this happen for Activision. Okay, let's be real, this year they have basically screwed up Call of Duty the most that they ever have. Now, seemingly the multiplayer component is all shaping up to be quite fun. The problem is everything else around it. Of course, we do see Modern Warfare 3, Activision, Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, Treyarch, Beenox, Demonware, High Moon Studios, Raven Software, and Toys for Bob. It truly is a collab. And you can see an IGN 4 out of 10. Go to Steam and you see mixed. So there you go, IGN 4 out of 10, Steam 42%. We have a D+ from Gaming Age. We have awful reviews across the board. The campaign has been out for a week. Unfortunately for them, they decided to use campaign early access as a way to squeeze more money out of players. Those are players who will not want to be squeezed again because the campaign is honestly utter tripe. And that is a big, big shame. I grew up on Call of Duty 1, Call of Duty 2, the original price. Obviously, on these games, the games that these were inspired by. I liked the reboot franchise, and that 3, from a campaign perspective, is bad, is really, really sad. Now, you have the journalists who are pissed at how bad this is. You have the YouTubers who are rightly pissed at how bad this is. Narratively, everybody has wrecked it. Gameplay-wise, the industry standard Call of Duty bombastic campaign has not happened. It is lackluster. It is flagging. The set pieces do not hit hard. The new innovation of open missions effectively just puts the player in a section of a Warzone map with some loot and AI that's barely a threat and says, I guess this'll do, in lieu of something that we spent a lot of time and effort working on. I say that, it sounds mean, but that even this exists is probably the testament to Herculean efforts from game developers, and that is what this industry does. It forces people to go to Herculean lengths, to go absolutely crazy, to crunch a game out, only for that to be shit because of bad planning. That is what has people leave our industry and go to other places. Now, add all of that then to multiplayer that is maps from the original Modern Warfare 2 that widely were believed to have been planned for inclusion in Modern Warfare 2, the second, that are only now releasing. So there are some, there are some suspicions there from players, let us just say. There's the return to gameplay from some prior games as well, basically going through a wish list of fan demands with not that much major in terms of new additions. We've got the Zombies mode that required the involvement of Treyarch that basically is a reskin version of the DMZ mode from the free-to-play Warzone, but without the PvP and with the AI enemies turned into zombies. And we do here mean literally reskinned. Here's from Westy. The Modern Warfare Zombies mode still has DMZ beta listed in the top corner. Some loading screens, so they didn't even have the time to go and, scrub away the embarrassing bits. Now, what this was supposed to be was the Call of Duty that would break all the rules, that would say, we're no longer throwing your past investment into the bin. This is a platform going forward. It's got the characters you want, the setting you want, the gameplay features you want, all for $70. Instead, though, we have had a hastily thrown together, we've got basically the Wish.com Modern Warfare 3, the Temu Modern Warfare 3. It's a goddamn disaster, and now that a few days have actually passed, we know the story why. And if you would like to support the sorts of things we do, look at this. This is bellular.ghost.io. We'll get the proper URL working soon. This is our membership site. Here you can see content from our team. And honestly, it's awesome. Thank you so much for your support jumping in here. We've got so much content from our news team. All of the documents, you see them before I do. We also here have a loading screen, which, look, here's today's loading screen, which is basically us bringing you all of the game industry news. There is so much content on there. We are truly trying to build that future where we don't have to be relying on ads and sponsors and all that stuff. You get bonus content, more content, earlier content, and a say in what we do. Check it out down below. It's the best way to support what we're doing, because you know what? We're just going to be going hard. Okay, behind the scenes, Jason Schreier was the original reporter who broke that Call of Duty originally was planned to be delayed in 2023, that instead there would be an expansion pack for Modern Warfare 2. But that expansion pack was then reworked into a full release, because guess what? Gotta have those beans. Does completely mismatching player expectations count matter? No, apparently not. To these money-grubbing bastards who, well, just want money and who have clearly been okay screwing over all of their players and all of their developers, who are the people that actually, as you could say, make the rock roll, right? You screw up the devs, you've screwed the pooch. And this is bad for what this massive franchise going forward. This certainly is a delicious post-acquisition surprise for Mr. Phil Spencer, who I imagine is currently thinking, what have they done? Oh, we're going to have to fix this problem when we acquire them. So the way it works, right? Most COD games take about 3 years of development, but the bulk of this game, as Schreier said, was made in less than a year and a half. Now, do you remember the recent King Kong game that went viral that had 12 months of development time? Yeah, that's 2/3 of what Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 got. Now, obviously, this would have been a deeply miserable experience for the involved teams, especially in a campaign that was crunched out, in particular for Sledgehammer, because this represents the second Call of Duty title that they have been asked to throw together very quickly, only to have a pretty middling response. Here's some quotes from Shire's reporting. The abridged production schedule proved stressful. Some staff at Sledgehammer who had to work nights and weekends to finish the game say they feel betrayed by the company that they were promised they wouldn't have to go through another shortened timeline after the release of their previous game, Call of Duty Vanguard, which was made under a similarly constrained development cycle. And obviously, what was Vanguard? Vanguard was the thing that actually scared investors, that the Call of Duty thing could go off the rails. And rather than actually do what was right for the devs and the players and the goddamn shareholders, they for some reason did this, which is just goofy ass shit. Developers gave conflicting stories on what they understood the game to be from the original development. Is it a premium launch? Is it an expansion? They often didn't know. The plan was left ambiguous for the first few months of development. Others were told it was an expansion. All said they were under the impression it was an expansion until much later in the process. How can it be so confusing that the people working on it don't even have a clue what's going on? Well, turns out it helps that the executives here decided to ignore the creative vision of their teams and also overrid them midway through development and demanded completely unreasonable goals. Allegedly, Sledgehammer pitched a follow-up to Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Of course, that's the game they wanted to work on after the horrible development of Call of Duty Vanguard. That game was shelved so they could build the new Modern Warfare. So that feels shit. So they did build it, and per the sources, for several months, they were working on a game that basically would have a scope and a timeline that meant that it could be done under these constraints. But then in summer 2022, the Activision executives got involved, and that's where it all went really lovely. The original plan was scrapped. They were told that they simply had to make a world-spanning Modern Warfare 2 sequel game in the remaining time left. This would involve callbacks to the original Modern Warfare narrative with the villain of Makarov. So, with 16 months to make a game, the scope massively ballooned, the story had to be completely reworked alongside entirely new assets made, and they had to do this without any form of concrete structure. Quote, the nature of the release was left hazy, but the scope was ambitious and included an update to the popular Zombies mode, several multiplayer maps, and a single-player campaign. Of course, though, it's worth remembering that with how COD works, each studio has its own franchises, right? So Sledgehammer don't own Modern Warfare, but here they were making the sequel. What did that mean? That meant another layer of interference and difficulty, as they had to go and run all of their decisions past another team before they could get anything done. Developers also said they were frustrated having to run their content by executives from Infinity Ward, the Activision studio that's normally responsible for Modern Warfare. Staff in the game said they dealt with inefficiencies, waiting and feedback, and making significant and sometimes unwanted changes based on directions from above. So effectively, Infinity Ward were told that someone else would be making the next installment in their own series, but they would also have creative input in Sledgehammer's work, which obviously just like set them against each other and created chaos. This went as far as seemingly having vetoes in terms of what systems could be built and executed on. Here's one where Charlie Intel, I think this happened like 1 or 2 nights ago, Charlie Intel corroborated Bloomberg's report, having several sources tell them that one of the changes Infinity Ward made to Sledgehammer's design was removing the Pick-10 loadout system, and basically the new system is a morphed sort of version of what it once was. Just the idea then that this was Sledgehammer really making what should have been Infinity Ward's game, an obviously shitty position for everybody involved, especially if you are an Infinity Ward staffer who is excited to like finish off the big story or really do your vision of Modern Warfare 3, only to have it be completely ruined like this. Immediately following the breaking of this story, Sledgehammer Games studio head Aaron Hanlon put out a statement broadly just saying how proud he was of the team for everything that they've achieved. It basically doesn't address any allegations other than a brief suggestion that anything to the contrary to the idea they've been working this for years is not true. Obviously, much like with that King Kong game that we mentioned, it's hard it's hard to see that what he said is right, especially given how damn leaky the ship has been, because staff were telling us exactly what was going on. So, corporate-driven development, line go up. Modern Warfare 3 then represents the worst of AAA game design, narrative design, production planning, all from the executive branch, not from the people who actually make the goddamn games, without a care for what the devs actually want. That's why the game is bad, that's why it's burning, that's why devs and fans are exhausted. The objective for management here was not to make a good video game. It was not even the long-term health of their own franchise. If they wanted that, they would have listened to their developers, they would have given them some creative control, they would have done the expansion pack DLC. It would not have been the biggest year for Call of Duty, but guess what? Rather than be angry and rather than feel betrayed over them saying, hey, campaign early access, that's worth pre-ordering or getting the better edition for, can you imagine the people are like, oh, fine, I want to play the campaign. I'll pre-order the game. And then they're met with the worst COD campaign there's been. Maybe since Ghosts. I don't know, maybe Ghosts was worse. But seriously, that is just screwed. It is telling, though, that in Bloomberg's analysis, they don't actually think this will have much of an impact on the initial sales or the long-term audience for these games. People are getting basically the wish list of multiplayer features they were hoping for, and the campaign will soon be forgotten about as just a piece of filler. Basically, they turbo-monetized their worst foot, which they put forward. Quite amazing in terms of just incompetence. Inclusion of the microtransaction store, even with no new Modern Warfare 3 content yet, and the fact that purchases are crossing over into Modern Warfare 3 means that folks are already well embedded into the microtransaction environment of this new game. A whole layer of money-making friction has been removed, and while the new COD game is shit, at least the non-multiplayer bit, at least the things that people have purchased, have not went away. And in a month's time, Season 1 of the live service will start along with Warzone. That's where the money will be printed. But there is one difference now, that is that Activision are no longer in charge. I think it would be spurious to suggest that Microsoft will step in and just magically change things, because literally all evidence to date is that they don't jump into the management of individual series and studios unless they absolutely have to. I think instead they will support management to make the games that they want to make, right? I think Activision management will want to make games like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3, even at the cost of overriding studios who actually build the games. The question, though, is, will there be enough of an outcry for Microsoft to step in? And this is maybe where we could see things, because we've said with the historical evidence, look, Microsoft could have made Redfall not be a Redfall, but they obviously were hands off. They were like, it's fine, we're 70s and 80% on our mock reviews, it's fine, and then obviously it wasn't. And one of the things that Phil Spencer said in the PR tour after that was just saying like, okay, 60 FPS will come, but also, maybe we were too hands off. In the way of, maybe we actually didn't give them the support that they needed. Certainly, I think things could be interesting. Now, I think much has been made of the idea that now Blizzard are free. Ooh, they're free-range Blizzard. But at least what Ybarra had said is that when it comes to doing things, they'll be getting approval from different people, and that maybe will be a good thing. Because ultimately, the bit of Activision Blizzard that we like in many cases is the game teams. Because, hey, you look at a lot of D4, those devs tried really hard, and they've moved things in a way better direction. You look at World of Warcraft, I mean, they've turned that motherfucker around. Pretty damn impressive. You look at even a lot of parts of COD that people do like. Of Overwatch, like the engine developers of Overwatch, it feels so good to play. So many of the heroes feel really good. The thing that's pissed us all off is the things that have been driven by corporate, you know, like the Overwatch League, it's now dead. We know the Overwatch League massively damaged development of Overwatch in the way that core fans will care about, and it was kind of just Bobby's little pet scheme. Now it's dead. You would like to think anyway that with different ownership, that some good changes could actually happen. I think the reason why people have been so frustrated with ActiBliz for so long is because we know they have the development talent. We know they have the IPs. It's the continual cocking up of all of that. And I think that there being a massive post-acquisition disaster is frankly good news. It is good news because anyone at Microsoft who is thinking, oh, for God's sake, this is reducing the value of the asset we acquired. That's good because I think Microsoft, warts and all, probably are going to be better owners than the quarterly horniness of one Bobby Kotick's bank account. Okay, that is it for today's story. Listen, bellular.ghost.io, head over there, sign up. It's where you can see all of our content that our team is putting out. If I just click the news handle here, you can see all the content that is coming out. This is where we've got like loading screen, which is our newsletter that we're rolling. Also, the news now is where we're going to be posting like a lot of our videos. There's loads more to come on this. So that is what is going on. Thank you for all your support. It's the best way to support what we do, and also hang out over on our members lounge where you can get the behind the scenes on what we are doing. All right, have a great day. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time.